video includes footage of 3 of our Look mentors exploring a coffee roastery by touch and talking directly to the camera while seated in front of an exposed brick wall.
I am Sam. I am 32 years old and I have a retinal dystrophy. I'm fully blind and I lost my sight fully at the age of 12. I grew up in Greece and I sort of was I already knew that I had some sort of visual impairment because I remember going to the doctors with my family and I was told that I might need to be using glasses. I think that idea stuck for like a day or two, and then that just, because I remember them appearing for a bit and then they just disappeared again, so they kind of figured out that actually glasses weren't really something I would be using. And this was at the age of like 6. I started at a school for the blind in an area that was about 45 minutes away from where I lived in Athens. And I learned sort of to use Braille. I learned to use my cane, even though at the time I didn't feel like I would need it so much because I did have enough sight to navigate without a cane. But of course that would have ended up proving to be a good thing to do, because a few years later, when I was 12, I lost my sight completely, which led me to revisit the usefulness of the cane. One of the biggest changes in my life at the time was because eventually I got used to used to my sight loss because I'd already learned to use Braille. I used a tiny bit of technology, but it was the early 2000s, so I don't know if anyone remembers how screen readers used to sound then. Nothing like what they do now. I don't know if anyone remembers how. Goodness gracious. From there it went to, we moved, we left Greece and we came here. And that's when I started using more like technology, and then I had to relearn English Braille grade 2. I think now it's UAB, but I had to relearn Braille all over again, which took me a little while. I felt like I needed to because I enjoyed reading so much. And then I started at a college for the blind that was situated in Kent, and I was there for about 3.5 years, just learning enough to be able to go to university, even though at the time I didn't know what I wanted to study. I ended up staying there and doing a couple of years studying business, learning, doing my GCSEs at the same time and my A-levels at the same time. That was a lot. And also learning English Braille, Braille maths, all the exciting stuff. Then eventually I figured out that after I was done with all of that, I realized I wanted to go to university and study creative writing, which I ended up doing in London. So I moved into halls of residence, which was a whole another experience. And because of my experience before, sort of been kind of, in essence, taught to survive on my own. So do my own washing, cooking, using the microwave, doing my laundry and all those fun, adult, exciting things. I ended up my university halls, and I felt very much like I was more capable than some of my classmates and some of my fellow flatmates. I remember distinctly one of those scenes where I would walk into the kitchen and start cooking while everyone's sat around the table. And the moment I started cooking, everyone would just go silent until I was done. It took me a little while to get over that because I suspect they were kind of like, is it going to set the kitchen on fire or something? I never did, not even once. And I mean, I was surprised when people would ask me for how to cook something and I did not know how, but I felt like I had to sort of research it so that so I didn't just say, oh, sorry, I don't know, I'm just going to show them. And so when I started with my university course, it was very much based on sort of research, creativity, all that aspect, and I think it was quite a challenge for my lecturers as well. I remember using a dictaphone to record my lectures, and because I couldn't really type as fast as they were talking, and both pay attention to them and both pay attention to my screen reader at the time. From there, I ended up after I finished with all my university stuff, which I do keep saying to people that it's probably one of my best years. It was really, really enjoyable. There were challenges, of course, is like learning to navigate around a new area, learning to use software that I hadn't used before, using my computer a lot, doing this, having to ask people for help, having to, I don't know if I can call it pestering, but definitely be insistent about getting things done. And it's not really me. I feel like that's something that I've learned over the years, because I'm not really, I'll be like, oh, is it possible for me to do this thing? Oh, is it possible for you to do this thing for me? And they're like, oh, I'm not sure, I don't think we can. And in my head, my response is, oh, okay, that's fine. It's okay. It's all right. I'm sorry to bother you. But now I'm a bit more like, okay, well, help me find something, because I can't just back off, because otherwise I don't think I'll get anything done. A few years after doing some bits of volunteering, some of them were to do with writing, wrote a couple of like short plays, like theatre and things like that. I ended up in Hereford, and as far as look goes, I remember walking through through the kitchens in at the RNC, Royal National College for Blind, and bumped into Charlotte at the time, and we were talking about, it started off about, oh, what are you up to, what are we doing? And she said, have you heard of Look? And I said, no, I haven't heard of Look. And then she gave me like a short pitch. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. I like mentoring. I like the idea of having someone who will be able to sit and you'll be able to talk to, and they sort of understand you, and they will listen to you, and they'll provide you with, maybe advice or just a listening ear. I had something similar. It wasn't, let's say, formalized as such, but when I started uni, I had someone who said, oh, we have a student here at university and they're VI, and they could talk, in those days, emailing backwards and forwards was the way to go. So we started emailing. She told me a little bit about the university, who to contact, who to pester, who to not pester, what emails I was supposed to have. And it was a lot of help. We ended up becoming good friends as well. And then after Charlotte mentioned mentoring to me, I kind of thought, okay, this is what I've experienced just a tiny bit, and I would want to be able to help others in that way as well. And hence why it started off with me going through the mentor training, and can I say qualifying? I guess since I was a mentor, I guess I qualified. And messaging, having a mentee who was happy to receive my messages and respond. I mean, getting a response from your mentee is a great feeling, because that means that they actually want to hear what you're saying and they have things to say back. So I think I've had about 3 or 4 different mentees, and that's the thing. It's sort of getting to meet them at their needs specifically. So I always try to get to know them and see what they're interested in, even if those things are not necessarily the things I'm interested in, but just get to know them and what they would want to talk about. I wanted to give it a bit of a way so that they're the ones directing the conversation rather than it being me. I'm older and wiser and I know better, and I don't want them to feel that way. I just want to be there just to listen to them and provide them with any kind of advice they feel would be useful. And I basically want to be the mentor I would have liked for myself about 10 years ago. Keep asking, keep pushing. The worst thing someone can say to you is no. That's basically it. And that's it. Just never be afraid to ask for help. Because even if people probably can't help, asking might lead you to something that perhaps you didn't expect. And if I'm honest, I'm still learning that now. With using technology, I remember just learning to touch type at the age of 6, 7. But that was just, to me, it felt like a computer was a toy at the time. You don't think you'd really think about how useful it's going to be. It was just the thing I did. And then it went from there to, I started using things like JAWS or Supernova. Then it went from that to phones. And I didn't even think there was a way for anyone to use screen readers on phones, like touchscreen phones. It was like a 3D experience. Technology has always been sort of in the background at the start until I started using it more consistently. So right now, I mostly use my laptop and I have a screen reader. I'm a writer, so having a screen reader on my computer is really helpful. I use an iPhone, and that does have an built-in screen reader as well. I have a Braille display, which I think at this point it's probably ancient. When I tell people, have a Focus 40, they go, yeah, that's old. I've had it 3 or 4 years now. And one of the things that and it's still experimental, but I find really, really fascinating is we're in the sort of almost the AI revolution. And there's an app that I used where it gives you an ability to take a picture, and it would describe to you, the AI would describe to you what the picture is. And I recently used it just to take a picture of my garden. I found out that it's really overgrown. So that goes to show. And I thought, especially as a writer, I've always found it hard to write descriptions of things, like outdoorsy descriptions. I could have a little bit of a poetic license with places that I know, but having the AI take a picture or give you a bit of a description of, to say, I don't know, the street in front of your house, then I'll have something to work on or work with when I'm, I don't know, writing an exterior scene. And all I can say is I'm really, really excited to see where this is going to go, because there's so much potential now, and it's very exciting. And I know a lot of people probably not think, I guess when I talk to someone about AI, and I said that it's really useful for writing, I never thought that there would be a point where I'll have an app that I would use to take a picture and then have it described to me in relative detail. You know, it's early days still, but again, I'm really looking forward to seeing where it's going to go. The problem with being a writer or any kind of thing in the arts, I guess, is you get projects every now and then, and they're always like few and far between. So I've had, in the past, I've written plays, like just short plays. I've written a radio play a little while ago that was on BBC Radio 4 as part of like the New Creatives Initiative. That was, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and now I finished writing a short screenplay, which is going to be set in Hereford, and it's started off as a monologue that I wrote because I wanted to transpose a tiny bit of my experience and experience of other people, where it's like losing their sight, and in this case, that monologue expanded and became a short, I'd say 10-minute screenplay, which is going to be, I think it's going to be filmed in the next month, and it's about someone who's like losing their sight, and in late in life, or early enough but late, so like teenage years, and then they have to sort of confront that, and they'll have to like talk to their family, talk to their friends, and sort of learn to accept it. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. I would like to have more projects. So writing is something I want to do. I want to keep doing professionally, because I don't know if there are enough sort of, I don't know if I can call it content creators, but enough blind writers or visually impaired writers, and I definitely want to be one of them. As far as the mentoring goes, if anyone, because I think a lot of the times people might feel that, oh, I don't know if I could, I would want to be a mentor, but I don't think I could because I don't feel like I have a lot to offer. Stop thinking that, because you do. Everyone has a story, and everyone's story to other people is interesting. So if you want to be a mentor, definitely I would say, don't feel like you don't have anything to offer, just go for it, and you'll be very surprised how much your mentee can get out of you, and how much you would want to offer, how much you would want to work so that someone else will be able to like get what experience, either experience what you have experienced, or experience a much better version of what you have experienced. It's a two-way experience, because as a mentee you learn that you have someone who is there who's experienced roughly what you have, and they'll be able to help you. You'll just be able to like talk to them, and someone will be able to understand you. And then as a mentor, what you get from that is you are able to focus, and you're able to be specific, and you're able to be a good listener. There's a lot to be gained from being a mentor. And I mean, you get to help someone. So that should be always a plus. And I would definitely urge you to do it.
I've got my own business.
Socializing as a VI, like blind person, so it's a little bit easier now because of social media, but I'm still not the like a social media guru either. So for me, like when I moved to Hereford, for example, it was through luck that I got to know a bunch of people, some of the other mentors, and through some of the events that we went to and took part in while I was working with Look as well. They helped with sort of knowing what is around, what is available, either in Hereford or just in like charity related things, and how to get to know other people. I always found that start with a small, similar interest, because sometimes if a couple of the Look events that I've been to, that's how I got to know most of the people that I know now. And they definitely were let's call a catalyst for my own personal social life in that sense. I would say that it's definitely something that I hope someone who is a mentee would be able to develop, because it's a skill. Like, you have to be able to just know what you want and kind of push for it, and not you can be as polite and as understanding as you can, but ultimately be aware of what it is that you need, because that's all you're doing. You're asking for what helps you and what you need.
Look. Supporting visually impaired young people to thrive. www.look-uk.org